Salad or Dolly, threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
Welcome to Weirder Together with Ione Sky.
And Ben Lee.
This is Moviefone.
Moviefone. I have nostalgia for Moviefone and for Dial-a-Horoscope, Rob Brezny's phone service.
Oh, so good.
You opened the Village Voice. That was the entry-level participation with Rob Brezny or Dan Savage, Savage Love.
Oh, I love
And then
Savage.
these were what do you call it again? What's the word I'm looking for?
Consensual?
No, yeah. But that idea when you then go deeper and deeper into some rabbit holes or something, but they draw you in and you accelerate your participation and your cost per minute listening to your horoscope.
That's
the deep
true.
dives for Virgos, loved them.
I know. I like the one that you, this one that you have a breezy horoscope. Or
No,
something.
that's Rob Brezny. That's the one I'm saying.
I thought you were talking about one from back in the day. Is he
It
from
was. Well, he started in the Village Voice. That's where I discovered him.
the Village Boys?
And he did a great book called Pronoia. Great title, right? About believing that the universe is conspiring to help you.
Oh, I like that. That's very Jungian. That's very kind of when I did Jungian dream therapy, and the doctor said that your unconscious is trying to help you, which is a nice idea.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
the question is, will you let it help you, I guess?
I loved how that Maradi at the Jungian Center, how he started that course you did. We're saying, before we begin studying dreams, we have to begin by acknowledging we do not know what dreams are or what they are for.
Exactly.
And I was like, that is a brilliant jump off point. That's almost how art should be appreciated.
Yeah.
Like you got to come into it a little bit beginner's mind, a bit of a blank slate.
Yeah, it was like you can look at a dream from so many different angles. The other thing is that's not a airtight way of saying something won't start affecting you. And let me say this one other way. Freedom from the Known, that book, Krishnamurti.
I sent the audiobook of that to my stepdaughter, Kate, this morning.
Oh, that did help me at one point. But I feel like Krishnamurti was trying not to be a guru and to just say
I think he had a complex push-pull.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
So saying that we don't understand something doesn't guarantee you won't get stuck in a prism.
No, that's true. But I think just the beginning of like for me, when I'm producing an artist or something, or even just giving a little advice or something, I often start with, this is just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I can only respond as a fan of music.
Yes.
I don't know what the answer is. And I do think a little disclaimer at the beginning of something that is a psychological minefield is helpful.
Yeah. Like, I'm a good lover, but you may not get there in the end, but I will try my hardest. No,
I may not call you tomorrow. But yeah.
Will Ferrell was talking about, I don't know if it's because my algorithm is a lot about Virgos, and I don't know if he's a Virgo, but he was talking about horoscopes and how he was sort of into them. And that whenever there's somebody that you don't think is going to be into something and then they're into something, I don't know, it just warms my heart. But yeah, we've been thinking a lot about the kind of gurus and how do I tie this into something that, we talked about Rick Rubin and kind of people, I don't know, just this whole world. I'm really thinking about it so much lately. I don't know what more I have to say about that. But
you got to say something more about that because that was like half a thought.
It was half a thought. I'll swing back to it.
No. What do you think about gurus?
Well, I guess I was talking about, freedom of the known.
Yeah.
I really love in life when you accidentally find something and it really helps you. Like there was a time when I read, it still scares me though in a weird way, but the Tibetan book of Living and Dying. And I just sort of classic was kind of practicing this one meditation thing. But it was before I had joined a Kundalini class or did anything that was formal. And it was just finding it on my own at the right time, doing it lightly, having a big experience. But it was just very kind of natural, like when you find music or a book, or it's just like it's like sort of yours, like your experience with it. And that's, I think, so nice when that happens.
As opposed to sort of dictated or imposed upon you by a guru or a teacher or
exactly.
something like that.
Or what I hate, which is so unfortunate, I really hate this, when I am actually been in a desperate mental state of one kind or another. And I'm like, oh, I guess I have to read this book called Fear of Fear, but I'm like so afraid. So I'm reading it with like an anxiety attack, and it's not helping because it's like almost too much. You know what I mean? But when you find something when you're actually not in a desperate place, that's lovely in a weird way, because it goes in the head.
It does go in the head.
A little easier.
It's funny when you think about all those self-help books that you've read or seminars you've listened to, or, whatever, people watch YouTube lectures, the few bits of wisdom that actually remain with you as your life progresses. And one of the quotes that actually stayed with me was from Timothy Leary in the book he wrote with Richard Alpert, who became Ram Dass, his version of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which was a guide to psychedelics, when he said the goal of life is calm and compassionate gameplay. I think about that so much. That is like a piece of wisdom that I've truly carried with me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that, having an existential crisis after the ayahuasca ceremony or something like that, and I just thought, the material world, oh no, like we're in the material world, or the panic of that. But then I want to be in the material world, I think, once this level of panic leaves after a couple of weeks. I do want to be here. I do want to enjoy things and be a part of it. So you said, I think, something about it's like a game, life, you know what I mean? But I do want to be a part of it. I don't want to just like be chanting Hare Krishna and be on this like level above everything or whatever.
You are living in a material world.
I am yes.
And
are you doing Madonna?
Of course I'm doing Madonna. Yeah.
Also, there's the...
You're not going to help me out by completing that quote?
Wait, because I was thinking of we are spirits in the material world. It's the Police.
Oh, sure.
So I was having two 80s battles. I was having a battle of the bands. Madonna's was a material girl, a material. But what's the lyrics? It's just the over and over.
You're living in a material world and you're a material girl.
And I'm a material girl.
Yeah.
I am.
I remember that actually when I was going deep into all my sort of occult and new age and spiritual stuff, was as me and Claire were breaking up. And she said to me, my interests are more terrestrial. And I've always thought that was actually a great quote. Respect,
And a great accent. It sounded like Claire Danes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, there was a tone in it that sounded very like New York.
Okay, you felt it.
Yeah, me too. I like the real world because I also think there's a lot going on here. I don't need to be in the clouds the whole time.
And coming back to the dreams thing, that I think part of the fun of living and horoscopes is that anything you throw yourself into, you will learn ultimately the same kinds of lessons, because so many of the lessons we have to learn in life are about process and about discernment and about self-esteem and staying calm and staying focused. And that's why I sort of feel like a lot of these like softer sciences, they're art forms like dream analysis, horoscopes, the I Ching, the tarot. They're fun ways to throw ourselves into process. So it never really bothered me that these things don't have literal answers to them or scientific data behind them.
The only things that we're kind of still doing compared to what you especially were when you were in too far into all the spiritual stuff, like I do think tarot cards and horoscope, it's like sort of fun. I'm not using them as a magic, a crystal ball. I'm using them more as I think
the tarot is the closest thing you have to a family religion. through your dad. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like that really is like that. If you would say describe the religious or spiritual lineage, it's something about the tarot, that's for sure.
I know, because I've never done runes, but I like tarot because I'm a visual person and I do love looking at those pictures.
Look at those pictures. So what's this week been all about for you, my love?
Yeah, we had a fun double date. I mean, it wasn't two couples. It was our friend Holiday and we went to the Ritz.
And Mark from Buzzcull. Yeah.
Mark. And we went to see I Want Your Sex, Greg Araki. And I just love this movie. So there's this movie, I Love Your Sex, I Want Your Sex. Because it reminds me of 90s, what's it called?
Indie cinema?
Indie.
Yeah.
I was going to say amateur. Indie cinema from the 90s or something. It kind of felt the same way that like Backrooms felt from another era. And so I Want Your Sex is Olivia Wilde, Cooper Hoffman, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. And I love this actress who is in the studio, Chase, I think Sui Wonders, her name is. She's brilliant. And it's sort of a boss, Olivia Wilde, grooming Cooper Hoffman. And it is very interesting because if the roles were reversed and if she were a man and he was a woman, it would be, well, I guess the movie Secretary. But because she's a woman, it doesn't feel Machiavellian exactly to me. And it ends off, I don't want to ruin it, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. But it ends off nice. Like they kind of are fond of one another in the end. So I don't know. I think there's something about it. I don't know if it's because Greg Araki is a sweetie pie, the director and the writer, and he's used to a sort of sexual world. He's a gay man. Who knows what his life is like? But you get the feeling that he's not dark, but he's an open person sexually, possibly, and a nice guy. And so I don't know if he just infused his view of the world.
I think there was that, but I also think it was co-written by Carly, I don't know how you pronounce her last name, Scortino, who was Slutever. We are old school Slutever stans.
Yeah.
She was a great sex-positive journalist, had a show on Vice, and, really, I think her sensibility of the way she talks about sex with intelligence, curiosity, empathy, lack of judgment, it really comes through in this film that's about the modern landscape of complex sexual relations if they're in the workplace. It was like really, really interesting. I loved that it was like they made a movie about it was a lot about morality, about the morality of power dynamics and sex in the workplace, but it was also hot. Like they made a movie that actually was sexy, which is kind of like quite a tricky thing to do because you're aware in that does that mean you're endorsing the relationship? Does it mean you're kind of getting off and watching it happen? So I don't know. It's just like I love movies. And I think that ties back to the 90s indie cinema thing where it doesn't have like a very big moral stance. It's sort of an exploration. I loved it. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
And it's not a perfect movie, but I think some of what has been lost in indie cinema going away is like the pressure that everything has to be a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Whereas art and cinema and music, records, fashion, it should be a form of play.
Yeah.
And I really liked that you felt that in this film.
I know. I love that too. Charlie XCX is in it. Also, the cops are Margaret Cho and Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, yeah. That was really great.
Which is adorable. And
Margaret so reminded me of the therapist she played in Slideshow of Wieners, that you directed.
I directed this cool sort of short film based around some songs of yours.
Yeah.
Margaret Cho was so good. Yeah, I really like that movie. And it's fun to see movies that are sexy that you're not embarrassed. There's something
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool. Cool, smart people making art about sex. We need more of that.
And nice. You can tell like both Slutever and Greg Araki. I don't know. I get the feeling that they're nice. I mean, if it was, who am I trying to think of? Something in that situation that would be a really bad situation that somebody would be. Yeah.
Well, not even about not nice, but there are movies that explore complex sexual dynamics like Todd Solondz movies or something, that they do actually feel dark. And that's okay. There's room for that. You know, there's room, but this is not that. This is essentially art that is sort of sex positive.
And I think that's important in the world, because I don't think it's saying, yes, you should groom the people you work for. Oh, that's what I was thinking of, the American Apparel CEO
right.
who was trying to have that kind of, what do they call it, that environment in his workplace where it was like everyone fuck and this is a sexy brand, and I love American Apparel. I was so sad. And it was sexy, and the ads were cool because it was like, you know, normal bodies here and there and stuff. But anyway, that felt really yucky.
It was fun. Right before we went into the movies, as we were walking outside, it was such a surreal moment. We saw Adam and Ruben, Peking Duk, standing outside the movies with their ARIA #1 plaques. Their album had just gone #1 that day, and they were doing a photo celebrating outside the movies. And me and Holiday jumped in, had a photo with them. And I said to Adam, you got to tell me what's going on. Like, why are you doing the photo here?
In
like,
Randwick.
Well, yeah, he's like, I was going to the movies and we had to do this photo. So I said, look, if you want to do it, Ruben, meet me outside and we'll do it. So anyway, but that was a classically Sydney music industry little moment.
I know, in a neighborhood that doesn't feel very rock and roll, but it was perfect.
I would say Randwick might be one of the least rock and roll suburbs in Sydney. Possibly. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but the reputation, you know.
I really liked seeing this couple that we're referring to. We don't know them well, but I was like, the first time seeing them together, we had a dinner with them, and I loved their relationship from that experience of sitting with them.
I think it's that thing as couples, I don't know, like for me, it's like we're friends with tons of single people, but particularly when you meet a couple that are involved in supporting each other's creativity and stuff, it does feel like a very specific minefield that they're sort of navigating their way through. Like whether it's Sally and Darren or Sarah and Trent, like we have several friends that are couples where they're both creative and they collaborate, but they also work separately. And it's just specific. It's probably like if you've adopted a kid and you meet other families that have adopted a kid, like you can like relate to some of the specific challenges.
Yeah, when we were first dating, you have to kind of go over some sort of rules. You don't come into the relationship, what are our rules as two sensitive artists?
Right.
But I do remember giving you a little note or an idea and realizing the way you were very kind, but you were sort of like, I don't know that the way, you know, we were learning how to speak about each other's work.
Yeah, it's related to, remember that Paul F. Tompkins thing where he was talking about someone and he said, the reason I love this guy is he's never once said to me, you know what you got to do. And there is something about the way we talk to each other as creative people that we can be a little bit presumptuous. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like it's easy from outside to tell people what and really the fun of having a creative career is figuring it out on your own, I think.
I know. And you weren't like, you can't tell me, because sometimes I'll say, oh, wow, that sounds like I would, you know, oh, that would be great. Can you pull that for, you know, I'll say a production note.
Yeah,
even.
You give me good notes.
Can you like start the song, that part earlier? Because it's such a banging part of the song I notice whatever. And you're like, oh, so we've learned how to chime in. But it'll never be like Bo Derek and her husband, probably John Derek. I can't remember his name. I remember an interview with them. She was in this movie 10, beautiful model actress. And he was so controlling. It was insane. Like this was a little later after 10, this movie where she was this like knockout. It's a famous poster where she's running on the beach with cultural appropriated braids in her hair. But in the interview, he points to the picture of her from 10. And she's like in this bathing suit and she's like, she was a 10. Now she's an 8, about an 8. Like he's speaking of his wife, like 5 years after the movie. And it was just so controlling and insane. So we're not like that.
No. Is that controlling though or just mean? That's like bullying.
I know, right?
In a very interesting piece of American Australian crossover culture, we are going deep into the season of Australian Traitors, currently airing. We loved American Celebrity Traitors. For people who haven't seen this show, I think it's a little bit hard to imagine. I guess it's probably more like Survivor, which is a show I've never watched, which is like, it's a strategy game, right? But I am very impressed with, I shouldn't be so shocked that Australians are very smart. I don't think of Australians as Machiavellian, though. And I think that's why seeing all this strategy play really caught me off guard from a bunch of Aussies, because I think of Aussies as like basically just like good-natured, what you see is what you get. And this like the level of gameplay in this season of Australian Traitors is pretty exceptional.
Complex.
And it's like, I think as the seasons go on, the players have watched other seasons more and have developed their own strategies of how they want to come into it. So you have things like, like Dicko coming in with this very intense, dominating strategy of creating a voting block from the beginning, which is like, it's so funny because for people who don't know the show, you got to figure out who are the traitors, like who are the imposters. And Dicko came in as with the idea that like, it actually doesn't matter about being correct. You just all want to vote together. That's what protects you in the show. And that brought up like a moral question about the best way to play the show that I hadn't seen dealt with before. And then this guy, AJ from Survivor. So one of our daughter's friends, we just saw her at lunchtime, May, she was telling me her mum was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how they found AJ's emotional thing manipulative. And and I'm sort of like, isn't the whole point of these shows manipulation?
Yeah, it's very intense. I used to feel left out because I would hear people talking about Traitors and I hadn't watched it yet. And I just thought, oh, these people, I admired them and they were talking about it. And because I hadn't, now that I've watched it, I know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what people are talking about.
And you got to get through the first few episodes of any season because there's like too many people. You don't know what's going on. Then you get like 3 or 4 in and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, all of these reality shows are kind of like that. You have to get to know the characters. But the Australian Make Me Laugh or Australia's Love Island are really good, like what you said. The Australian Love Island, they're like, randy and like, sexed up and fun and open and loose and crazy. And same with there's a reality show where you have to make comedians laugh.
Last Man Laughing or something?
Yeah,
or what is
and
it?
the Australian one out of all of them was the most insane. Like, I feel like Australians can go crazy.
It just degenerated into just people acting like complete
covered
infants.
in just like juice and whatever was in this room.
Juice.
I don't know. It was like insanely messy and everything. But Traitors, I see what you mean. Like the Machiavellian and the kind of manipulative. It's refreshing to see that side of Australians.
It's refreshing to see Aussies being a bit cutthroat. Now, let me ask you this. Could you handle being on Traitors?
I could handle everything but the activities.
Oh, you don't want to do the races and the collecting parts of statues and all that?
I'm like, but they do have these sort of housewives on, and a lot of the housewives are fit, but they have older ladies. And so I feel like if they can do it, I can do it.
But you could handle the anxiety of, I just imagine going to bed every night shooting this show. Especially if you're a traitor, the amount of lying you have to do. I just know to a fault, I have built my life around kind of telling the truth about things, and I just don't think I could lie that well.
I have an extremely good poker face and I'm an actor, so I could be a traitor because you wouldn't know I was a traitor. I could be very, like, all the reactions... I would be
You would be a good traitor. But
I don't know that I would feel horrible killing people and...
But it's not really killing people. Though,
I understand.
Yeah.
But I think I would feel complicated about that. But I also have a hard-ass side. I mean, I have a side that can be very kind of compartmentalized.
Oh, you're a daughter of a gangster. And I guess I would ask you, like, so I don't want to get too into it's not about the details of this, but as someone in your life who has experimented with being unfaithful in relationships,
and by
I
the
feel
way,
like you're a better liar. Like, I never cheated. And partly I think just because like I couldn't handle it. I don't think I'd be good at it. The lying part.
Ugh. Well, I never lied like, have you cheated on me? No, I've never had that
Oh,
experience.
so
I
wait,
don't
if someone
think.
asks you to say yes?
No, I don't think I've ever been asked.
Oh, but what would you have said if you were asked?
No, probably.
But that's not much of it. That's not much of a character testimony, though.
I know, but I don't know.
But you lie by omission when you're cheating. You don't tell the person the other thing.
Ate me up inside. I'm sure I have an ulcer from my cheating ways. But yeah, I'm good at. I think I have a good poker face.
Yeah, you do. Well, you're an actor.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, my job as a sort of confessional singer-songwriter is to tell the audience the truth and to try and make that as compelling as possible, which is much more like a faithful. You are well-versed in the arts of deception.
So back to the manipulative emotional man, I do see on this show as well, there's female, male, or, crush. The crushes have a big part in it. I have seen that before when the hot guy is kind of like, can kind of manipulate maybe the woman to be on their side.
Oh, and some of the women are like such cutie pies, and they're like doing the doe eyes and all that kind of thing.
Well, you just like team up or start screwing. I feel like some people hook up and then they're
Do you
like,
think they're actually hooking up? Maybe they are.
Maybe once in a while. But
Stressful.
that one man, it was very interesting because he was, I don't know if he's autistic, but he's very emotional. And it would be interesting to see if he is it manipulation or not, or is he just unable to control his emotions?
But he revealed it so selectively.
Does that matter?
Yeah. He only showed it to one person, the person he was trying to get on his team.
But, it's pretty, I'm sorry if this is boring, if you're not watching it. But yeah, it is very interesting. The question of, is it manipulation if somebody's nice/autistic?
Yeah. that is the question of Traitors. After we saw I Want Your Sex the other night, we went down to Hollywood Hotel and saw the Bondi Boys.
Bondi Boys.
In a much more expanded set than we saw them last time. They also have, Mike Delaney has created a mic stand out of a sort of neon light for Damon that was very impressive. There were bubbles in the air. I thought it sounded great. I'm really into this new wave of like Gen X creativity.
Yes.
I feel like Gen Xers are like, we ain't done. We've got more to say. We got more to express. And I love it. I love the idea that people are not counting themselves out after 35.
No,
creatively.
it's so good. And this band are two blokes, but they are the true odd couple, the Walter Matthau and John Lennon.
Jack Lemmon?
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon. They couldn't be more different and they're very complementary. And
they've got that Sparks thing of like the quiet one and the loud one.
Yeah.
Of Pet Shop Boys.
Exactly. No, it's a really fun band. Also that punk band, the older guys we saw.
The Vors.
That was really cool too. Yeah, I agree. I think it's super fun when people are older and they're like, and it's really good. They can get everyone dancing. That band.
Yeah.
Oh, and where they played at the pub, Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm new to this town, Sydney, and so I was getting the sort of lesson. It's like a pub that hasn't been touched with the bad carpets and just, they haven't changed the bathrooms, but some rich dude bought it and was just like, I'm not going to do it up and gentrify it. I'm just going to keep it as is. And it's like packed and
it's great.
It's very like,
and they they program cool stuff too.
Yeah.
I was thinking last night I was at the Fruit Bats at the Oxford Arts Factory, which was a great show. Eric D. Johnson just playing solo. Really, really beautiful. But there was a guy next to me drinking beer, and I was just smelling the beer. And I was thinking about how much the smell of beer is connected to my work experiences in live venues. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like if I were to say like what is the smell of touring, it's the smell of beer. Mm-hmm. Do you have any smells like that? Do you associate with being on set or anything?
Yeah, I had a huge thing with Carmex lip balm because I did a job in Paris in '87, and that was the first time, well, every day the makeup artist put Carmex on my lips. And then I cut to like 6 months later, I'm back in the States and I smelled Carmex and I was like, it brought me back. And I had that, you know how smells are the biggest sensory memory thing. I also had I had culture shock. I think it was culture shock, but not leaving the States. I was in France for long enough and I was young enough, like a teen. When I went back to the States, I had a big culture shock, which was like physical, and it was very interesting. And I've kind of never had it since.
Well,
I don't know if I'm describing culture shock in the way that I'm sure it means a lot of things.
When you go back from Australia, do you feel culture shock at all?
Yeah, a little bit. And I remember going to India and noticing one of the things is like the billboards. Like being in LA, it's also so many billboards of movies and selling things on there's so many billboards. And when I go to places, probably here too, there's kind of less, you're just less billboards.
Yeah, I remember feeling it very strong when I was living in New York and I came out to Sydney and I was waiting for some hot chips or something. And I was really impatient in the shop. And I was like, oh, I'm on New York pace of things. And it's like, it is those kind of things, they get into your bloodstream.
I know, it's true. I'm glad I'm getting a dose of the Australia.
Me and Georgia, for our tour, we're doing a collaboration with this fanzine artist that we were talking about. You know those little fanzines with the hot news readers from Australian TV? Kate Dunn. She's Moon Fur Hat on Instagram. She's designing a little fanzine for us to sell as merch, and it was so fun. We had a meeting the other day, and she was running through all her ideas, and it's like, and I said I want it to be really irreverent and silly, sort of like fan art, but not really, also kind of making fun. And it's very exciting. I haven't been this excited about a piece of merch in a while.
Don't you wish every meeting was like designing a fanzine, feelings of just the excitement of that? It's so fun.
I know.
Planning certain parties and certain things are so fun. And her fanzine, I don't know if you described it well enough, was rating newscasters from the 80s and 90s in Australia. And it was just show these pictures and it's just hilarious comments, almost like when you scroll, the funniest things are the comments sometimes, but this is like a hard copy version of that, of just writing. She rates them. Yeah, no, she's doing great. She's doing great stuff. This one probably, and what she says about these newscasters is so clever and funny.
It's funny. I feel like a lot of the best parts of my job are creating experiences for myself that like just tickle me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like getting to do those kind of things is like, that is the biggest blessing.
Like the writer's room for South Park.
Exactly. Just making yourself laugh, making your friends laugh.
Yeah.
Beautiful babies.
So good.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
I think we gave you the full rundown, bumping into Peking Duk, watching Traitors. We didn't talk about the Valley reunion, but I don't think anyone really cares about that except us.
Probably not.
But nonetheless, have a gorgeous week. And anything else you want to say? Any words of wisdom? I'm
trying not to think about the things that I can't really do anything about. That's my thing for the day.
Okay, let me set a challenge for you at the end of this podcast to prove your ability, your how well versed you are in the art of deceit. Tell a lie to end this podcast, a believable lie.
Oh gosh, I'm thinking of just like, I don't know why I was thinking something that's kind of rude.
You can say something rude.
Well, it's kind of rude. I was going to say, but everyone's going to know it's a lie.
I know, but that's why we get to judge the acting.
Oh, well,
lie to me.
All right. Well, that I quit drinking coffee 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank
that was
you.
A good lie. Beautiful babies. Back with you soon.
Together we're weirder, we're weirder together.